Madden 26 is here, y'all. We can definitely say that, man. It's been out for several days now at the time of this recording, and the gameplay on the field, I do enjoy. I do like the direction the gameplay has gone, but franchise mode, man. If you're like me, you only play franchise mode. You might dabble in Superstar a little bit, but you don't do online, you don't do Ultimate Team. Franchise mode is where you live and breathe, and that's where you want your experience to lie. You have that immersion, and you look forward to it. And right now, franchise mode is not in a good place at all. I'm going to talk about all the issues wrong with franchise mode in this video and why it's important and also frustrating because if it takes them 2 months to get these things straightened out, that's a huge impact on all the people who purchase the game wanting to play franchise mode the first month or two of the start of the season, because a lot of these issues, they're not going to be able to patch into an existing franchise. You're going to have to restart. And that kills a lot of people's desire to play the game as you get involved in your franchise, regardless of its issues. And when you're forced to restart because they drop all these fixes, you don't want to redo the whole thing. And that's what's really frustrating about this. So we're going to go ahead and talk about a lot of the issues that are plaguing franchise mode right now. If you could do me a solid, though, if you happen to be new to my channel, subscribe, man. We just hit 20,000 on the channel. I can't believe it. Super awesome. I'd like to obviously continue growing. And if you could like the video, if you appreciate any of the information I'm dropping here for you, liking the video helps more people find this and helps me grow as well. So without further ado, y'all, let's dive right in.
And Bonds hits one high. It's a dig. It is out of here. This is caught. Diggs. Sideline. Touchdown. Unbelievable. Bryant for the win. Bang. Watch out. He's got getting away from the top speed. By Michael Short.
So I did talk about it in my other video, but I'm going to just remind folks again, or for those who haven't seen it, that one big issue is they kept absolutes in superstar abilities, which means that players have guarantees, perfect this, perfect that. And it sucks because they dropped in the gameplay blog that they were moving away from absolutes. They said, we hear you don't want absolutes. And then they're still in the game, which means we were pretty much lied to. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, just turn them off if you don't like them. Well, yeah, that's what we have to do. If you want to play realistically in Sim, you do have to turn off the abilities and X factors, which does suck because we are essentially unable to use a feature because it's a feature that's being catered to Ultimate Team and head-to-head that's in franchise mode and is not reconfigured in franchise mode for us. So that does suck. The other thing I want to point out too is that they did not make mention of this, but they completely got rid of owner's mode. So for all the people who like to play franchise as an owner, they did not want to do all the breakout scenarios because they're kind of unrealistic and don't make a lot of sense. They didn't want to deal with all that stuff. They wanted to be an owner, control the finances, and look at things from that angle. That is no longer an option. And I love what they did with the new coaching and the game planning and all that stuff, but I don't think it's wise to add something new and then force people that direction and remove something that a large portion of people utilized, which was owner mode. So I do want to just touch on those two things with franchise mode before we dive into the rest of the issues with franchise mode. So the first thing I want to discuss is the issue with the roster. So the base roster has really good ratings overall. I like what they did. And we have 799 overalls. But as soon as you load into your franchise mode, several players get bumped up to 99 defensive tackles due to the new nose tackle position. And this is frustrating because this shouldn't happen. And this, I don't know if this is an oversight or what, but if you're going to add a new nose tackle archetype or whatever, and you're going to have it inflate players' ratings like it does, you should maybe account for that in franchise mode. Otherwise, right now, we have a franchise mode that gets a ton of players at the defensive tackle positions ratings inflated, which causes issues as far as contracts, roster talent, things like that. We need to have this addressed. This isn't right, basically. So next I want to talk about the issue with player traits. No, not the player traits with the edge rushers not having them, inability to equip them. Apparently EA knows about it and they are going to fix it. But again, if you've already started your franchise mode, that's not going to get patched in. You're going to have to restart. But I want to talk about player traits in general because I actually love the player traits that they came up with this year. I think it's a great way to make players be unique. And here's an example with Joe Burrow. He has several player traits. He's a 97 overall. You'd expect him to have traits to help him be more Joe Burrow-y, right? And make him feel different than when we're playing another quarterback. And he's a very high rated overall. But what I love about what they did with player traits here is you got a guy like Bo Nix. He's an 80 overall quarterback. A huge gap between Joe Burrow and Bo Nix, right, as far as overall. But even he has traits. They are different, but he has them. This helps him feel different than Joe Burrow outside of the rating. Very well done by EA as far as the quarterbacks are concerned. And again, I love the traits. Where there are issues, though, is when you get outside of quarterbacks. The traits are just poorly implemented in who they give them to and the variety. For example, you have Saquon. He does have 4 traits. He's a 99 overall. He's a cover athlete. Makes sense, right? But we go to Derrick Henry, who's a 98 overall, just 1 away, former cover athlete. And he does have 3 traits as well, which is good. It makes sense for Derrick Henry to have both of those, run over, strong arm, and cover ball. So we're sitting pretty good there. But let's go to the 3rd best back in the game, Jahmyr Gibbs. 95 overall. You think about Jahmyr Gibbs right now, think about how he plays, what he's done to accomplish a 95 overall, and he has 1 active trait, elusive instinct. That's it. Nothing else, nothing for celebrations, nothing for spins, nothing else. And so it's very frustrating that a lot of these halfbacks or running backs have 1 trait or maybe 2. You know, Christian McCaffrey has elusive instinct, same as Jahmyr Gibbs, and then he's got 1 for catching the ball out of the backfield, which is interesting because Jahmyr Gibbs catches a lot of passes out of the backfield too. He doesn't have any of these other traits that are available, cover ball, disciplined, undisciplined, anything like that, to help him feel more unique. And you just continue down the line. Bijan Robinson, another top-rated running back in the game. What does he have for traits? He has 3. So he gets highlight reel, whirlwind, and elusive instinct. But again, Jahmyr Gibbs only gets elusive instinct. It doesn't make sense to me. But as interesting as the running backs are, and I do feel like there should be some more traits dished out to some of these top-rated running backs. Josh Jacobs is another one, top-rated running back. He has 1 trait, strong arm. Feel like he could have 1 or 2 others on there, but I digress. Let's go to wide receiver. This is where there's the issues really start to begin. You got Jamar Chase, best-rated wide receiver in the game, tied for the best-rated wide receiver in the game with Justin Jefferson. And when you go and you look at what he has aggressive receiver. That is it. Doesn't have possession, rack, highlight reel, doesn't have anything for celebrations, anything for moves, just the 1 trait. This is what's making Jamar Chase stand out, is he's just more likely to attempt aggressive catches. That's it. That's all we're going to do to make him stand out. And we go to Justin Jefferson, tied for the best wide receiver in the game. And what does he got? Highlight reel and showboat. So he's got 1 for spectacular catches and then celebrating. That's it. For the 2 best wide receivers in the game, that's how we're going to make them stand out. That's it. But this is where it gets really interesting. Amon-Ra St. Brown is technically the 2nd best wide receiver in the game. If those 2 are tied, he's the 2nd best rated wide receiver in the game as a 96 overall. And when we go to his traits, what do you think Amon-Ra as a 96 overall has for trait? He has none. What are we doing when top-rated players aren't even getting traits applied to them that are supposed to make them stand out? This is how EA is making these players feel different than other players. But now Amon-Ra has nothing to make him stand out. Just his ratings, but he's not doing anything trait-wise. And that's frustrating, man. Love the loading screens here. They talked about fast loading screens. We're not getting any loading screens. Trent Williams doesn't have a single trait. He's the best tackle in the game. He probably should have at least disciplined, but it's not there. Anyways, I love the trade idea from EA, but I think it's been very poorly implemented. And we see that when we go to the cornerback, Patrick Surtain, Defensive Player of the Year, and does not have, spoiler alert, does not have a single trait, except for undisciplined, doesn't have red zone jammer, doesn't have play ball, doesn't have play defensor, doesn't have safe tackler, punch, doesn't have a single trait other than undisciplined. This is how we're making the best corner in the game, the defensive MVP, stand out. Traits are a great concept, great idea. I love them. I hope they build off of them. But this implementation, like so many cool things EA gives us, very poorly done. Christian Gonzalez has no traits. 95 overall corner, second best corner in the game. Very poorly done. This needs to be addressed. Moving on to a bug/glitch that is plaguing franchise right now, we're going to go over to the controller select screen inside your franchise mode. And this is where you set up a lot of things, your jerseys, your uniforms, playbooks, etc., etc. But right now there's an issue with uniform select. So you go in and set the CPU, and I want to set them as their throwback Buck uniforms, right? And I love that they added both of them in here. By the way, it's about dang time. So happy for that. But now when I go and set my uniform, I don't get the avatar. I don't get to see a preview of the uniform that I'm looking at. It does not show up. I can scroll through, nothing pops up. I have no idea what my uniform is. This is a major bug. Major glitch, I don't know. If you go back to the CPU, it'll pop up, but it'll be like you didn't even set their uniform now. It goes back to whatever it was before. I can change it, and it will not change the uniform now, though. It's just going to show their one uniform. As you can see, I'm scrolling through. Nothing is changing for the CPU. Go back to my team, and still nothing. So that's fun. Now we back out, and we go back in to try again, and when we go to edit uniforms, this is what we get now. It's a buggy mess, man. Now this isn't really impacting franchise aspect other than the uniforms. I'm assuming they will get this patched, but it's just frustrating to have so many weird bugs in the game that aren't even gameplay related. Gameplay bugs are, I think, a little bit more acceptable than this menu navigation, especially when they promised us faster menus, quicker menus, and they're actually slower than they were last year. And then we have all this in here too. Hopefully this gets addressed, but this is frustrating, man. So Super Sim stats and seasonal stats are also very important to franchise mode players. I am not going to say anything on this. I am going to let the tweet from Bangle and a couple clips from Mr. Hurricane do the talking, so that way I can't always be accused of being, pessimistic or being a hater. I'm going to let them explain it for you.
Josh Allen, 39. Joe Burrow, 38 touchdowns. Bo Nix, 36. Penix, 35. Baker Mayfield, who had... I remember yesterday that Baker Mayfield threw 41 touchdowns last year. His numbers were outstanding. 35 in this sim. 34 for Brock Purdy. Cam Ward, 31 and 19. So we have 11 throwing 30 plus. Feels like a lot of passing touchdowns overall. Here we got on the lower end, Tua 11 and 6 on 344 pass attempts. All right, for running, we don't have anybody near 2,000 this year. It's Derrick Henry, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall, Ashton Genty, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs. And yeah, you can tell that the sim stats are still messed up here for running backs when you're looking at like James Cook with 1,100 yards, but his long was 10. Receiving, nobody over 14. 1,400. 2 players with 100+ catches. Still seems to be a heavy emphasis on the slot receiver. I don't know why that is still such a thing here, weighted heavily in stats. 1,059, that's what it tends to bring. The slot receivers get juiced. 24 touchdowns for Marvin Mims. Touchdowns. Let's see. Yeah, I think they got to start over in the whole sim stat engine. No kick return touchdowns, but there's also like very few actual kick returns, period. More likely to get a punt return touchdown, which there was only one. And still, these punt return numbers seem very low.
So last but not least, we're going to talk about wear and tear in Madden Football 26. Now, for those of you who didn't purchase College Football 26 or don't remember, I'm going to show you guys here how wear and tear is in college football. Inside your dynasty, you have your dynasty settings where you can set your wear and tear impact and recovery sliders. This is very important to dictating the wear and tear that is being applied inside your dynasty. Then on top of that, you have your positional wear and tear that when you go in and you go to the team's auto subs, you can adjust how you want your teams to handle wear and tear in game. Keep fresh, grind it out. You can do custom or normal. You have a full plethora of settings that you can adjust inside your dynasty with wear and tear to make the best possible decisions there. So now when we're in Madden franchise, we head over to our franchise settings, which is the same as the dynasty settings in college football. We scroll through here and there are no wear and tear settings to be found. It does not exist inside our franchise. The only place there are wear and tear settings that we can adjust the impact and recovery is in our main menu for whatever reason. But we want it for franchise mode. Now, the other thing is when we go over to our auto subs where we should be able to adjust our positional wear and tear sliders and settings like we could in college football, it's not here. It doesn't exist. So wear and tear, which was a huge deal, they talked about it a lot in their blogs and how great it was going to be and how important it was going to be, is not even in franchise mode. It's not here. Now, wear and tear is still tracked. Players get hurt from wear and tear. You get updates on a player's wear and tear. But as far as us being able to customize the settings, us being able to customize the impacts, the recoveries, how players substitute in and out to tailor the wear and tear experience to what we want, not possible. How long is this going to take to get brought into franchise mode? That's the thing. That's what's frustrating, guys, is we don't know how long it's going to take for them to fix this to get us a franchise mode that's even playable. And when you buy the game, you spend the money to play the game early, you shouldn't have to wait 1 to 2 months to have a decent franchise mode. I'll give them bugs, glitches, whatever, but this is more than that. And it's very frustrating because franchise is my passion, and it hurts knowing that I can make gameplay sliders and do all the other stuff, but I truly can't even start my franchise unless I accept that I'll be restarting whenever they fix all this stuff down the line. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below of this video. What did I miss? And what would you like to see addressed first in their first title update regarding franchise? Otherwise, that's it for me. Stay tuned to the next one, y'all. Peace.